I just didn't know she was also watching me at work, controlling my friends, and preparing divorce papers in secret. Turns out, my wife had a spy network at my office, a backup lawyer, and a plan to destroy my career. So this happened, and I'm still processing it. I need to know if I'm losing my mind or if this is as messed up as it feels. My wife Rachel and I have been married for 2 years, together for 4. She's always been a little possessive, but I thought it was cute at first. You know, the whole, she loves me so much she gets jealous thing. But lately it's gotten weird. It started getting bad about 6 months ago when I got selected for this huge project at work. It's career-defining stuff, the kind of thing that could set us up financially for years. The team lead is this woman Heather who's honestly brilliant at what she does. She's also attractive, which I mention only because it's relevant to what happened next. At first Rachel was supportive, asked about the project, how it was going, normal spouse stuff. But then she started asking specific questions, like really specific. How long did you and Heather work alone today? What did you guys talk about during lunch? Did anyone else join your meetings? I thought she was just interested in my work. We've always shared details about our days, but her questions started feeling like interrogations. Every time I mentioned Heather's name, Rachel's whole energy would shift. She'd get this tight smile and start asking follow-ups that felt like traps. Then came the workplace incidents. Rachel started showing up at my office more often. She'd bring me coffee or lunch, which was sweet, but she'd always make a point of meeting everyone on my team. Especially Heather. The first time they met, Rachel was friendly enough, but I caught her giving Heather these looks when she thought no one was watching. Not mean exactly, but sizing her up, like she was calculating something. It got worse from there. Rachel would make comments about Heather that seemed normal on the surface but had this edge to them. Oh, she's really put together, isn't she? I bet she works out a lot. She seems like the type who knows how to get what she wants. When I defend Heather or point out she was just being professional, Rachel would backtrack. Of course, honey, I'm just making conversation. You're so defensive lately. The breaking point was last week at the company happy hour. Rachel came as my +1, which was fine, but she spent the entire night basically territorial marking around me, touching my arm constantly, interrupting conversations I was having with female colleagues, making little jokes that weren't really jokes. When Heather came over to discuss some project details, Rachel literally stepped between us. Not obviously, she did this thing where she accidentally spilled her drink and had to clean it up right where Heather was standing. Heather had to move, and by the time Rachel was done with her performance, our conversation was over. I was embarrassed. My colleagues definitely noticed. Heather looked confused and kind of hurt. I tried to apologize later, but she just said it's fine in that way that means it's absolutely not fine. When I brought it up with Rachel that night, she turned it around on me. Said I was being inappropriate by having intimate work conversations at a social event. That Heather was clearly trying to monopolize my time. That any wife would be concerned about her husband's close working relationship with an attractive woman. I started doubting myself. Maybe I was being inappropriate. Maybe Rachel was just looking out for our marriage. But then I thought about it more and realized I've never given her any reason not to trust me. I've never cheated, never even come close. I don't flirt with coworkers. I talk about Rachel all the time at work. So why does she act like I'm one conversation away from having an affair? The worst part is it's affecting my job. Heather has started keeping our interactions strictly professional. Other team members seem uncomfortable around me. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells at work, which is insane because I'm not doing anything wrong. Rachel keeps hinting that maybe I should ask to be moved to a different project. For the sake of our marriage. She says it like she's being reasonable, like she's compromised, but it feels like an ultimatum. I don't know what to do. This project is huge for my career. I'm the primary breadwinner and we need this. But I also don't want my marriage to fall apart over a work assignment. Am I crazy for thinking this is too much? Is it normal for wives to be this involved in their husbands' work relationships? I love Rachel, but I feel like I'm suffocating. Update. Thank you for all the responses. Reading your comments is making me realize some things I hadn't considered. I'm starting to see a pattern I hadn't noticed before. Going to think about this more and probably post an update. Update 1. Posted 2 weeks ago. You guys would not believe this. What happened since my last post has me questioning everything about my marriage. So the day after I posted, I had what I thought was going to be a normal conversation with Rachel about the work situation. I wanted to establish some boundaries, told her I understood her concerns but that I needed her to trust me and stop interfering with my job. Her response floored me. She didn't get defensive or apologetic like I expected. Instead, she got this calm, cold expression and said, "Jordan, I think you're confused about what's really happening here." Then she started laying out evidence of my inappropriate relationship with Heather. Specific details about conversations we'd had, meetings we'd attended, even things like how long we'd talked by the coffee machine. Stuff that was so specific and detailed that there was no way she could know unless. "How do you know all this?" I asked. "People talk, Jordan. Colleagues notice things. They're concerned about you." That's when it hit me. She wasn't guessing. She wasn't picking up on vibes. Someone was telling her everything that happened at my office, every day. I started paying closer attention at work, watching how my colleagues interacted with me, looking for who might be feeding information back to Rachel. It didn't take long. Kate, who started around the same time I did, had always been friendly but never particularly close. But lately she'd been asking me questions that seemed innocuous but in hindsight were clearly fishing for information. "How's the project going? You and Heather seem to work well together. Any fun work events coming up?" I tested my theory. On Tuesday, I told Kate I was having lunch with Heather to discuss budget allocations. It wasn't true. I was actually eating alone in my car. That night, Rachel casually asked how my lunch meeting went and whether we'd sorted out the budget issues. I felt sick. My own colleague was spying on me for my wife. Wednesday, I told Kate I was staying late to work on presentations with the team. Again, not true. I was planning to leave at normal time. Rachel texted me at 6 p.m. asking if I was still in that late meeting with everyone. By Thursday, I was sure. But I needed to know how deep this went. I started really paying attention to Rachel's questions, not just the content but the timing. She'd ask about things that had literally just happened. Conversations from that afternoon, who I'd eaten lunch with, whether I'd talked to Heather that day. It wasn't just Kate feeding her information. Rachel knew too much, too quickly. Which meant either multiple people were reporting to her, or Kate was sending real-time updates throughout the day. Friday morning, I did something I never thought I'd do. I looked at Rachel's phone while she was in the shower. I'm not proud of it, but I needed to know. The group text was right there. Jordan Watch, it was called. Rachel, Kate, and 2 other women from my office I barely knew. Dozens of messages over the past month. Photos of me talking to Heather, screenshots of my calendar when I'd left my computer unlocked, updates about my mood, my conversations, who I'd been seen with. He seemed stressed today. Heather stopped by his desk twice. Lunch meeting ran long, couldn't hear what they were discussing. He's staying late again, working with H on presentation. Rachel was responding with detailed follow-up questions, asking for more specific information, giving instructions about what to watch for. I screenshotted everything and sent it to myself before deleting the evidence from her phone. When I got to work Friday, I felt like everyone was watching me, because they literally were. Kate smiled and waved like nothing was wrong, asked if I had any exciting weekend plans. I wanted to throw up. That evening, Rachel asked her usual questions about my day. I gave neutral answers while my stomach churned. She was sitting there acting concerned and loving while orchestrating a surveillance network at my workplace. "You seem tense lately," she said. "Is everything okay with the project?" "It's fine," I said. "Just work stuff. Maybe you should think about requesting a transfer. All this stress doesn't seem worth it." I looked at my wife, the woman I've loved for 4 years, married for 2, and realized I don't know who she is. The woman I married wouldn't hire coworkers to spy on me. She wouldn't try to sabotage my career because she's insecure about a professional relationship. But here's the thing that really gets me. She's not just controlling my work life. She's been isolating me from colleagues who could become friends or mentors. She's making me look untrustworthy and unprofessional. She's jeopardizing the project that could change our financial future. And she's doing it all while acting like she's the victim, like she's protecting our marriage from my inappropriate behavior. I haven't confronted her yet. I need to figure out my next move, but I can't keep pretending this is normal. Some of you asked about other controlling behaviors. Now that I'm looking for them, they're everywhere. She helps by handling all our finances, even though I make most of the money. She's gradually convinced me that most of my friends from before we met are bad influences. She knows my passwords to everything because married couples shouldn't have secrets. I thought I was in a loving marriage. Turns out I'm in a prison where the warden makes me dinner every night. Edit, for those asking why I don't just quit the project, this is my career. I shouldn't have to choose between my job and my marriage. The problem isn't my work, it's my wife's behavior. Update 2, posted 1 week ago this week has been the longest week of my life. Everything came to a head, and I'm honestly not sure where my marriage stands right now. Monday morning, I walked into work knowing I had to do something about the Kate situation. I couldn't keep pretending everything was normal while she reported my every move to Rachel. But I also didn't want to blow up my workplace relationships any more than they already were. I decided to keep it simple. When Kate approached me around lunchtime with her usual friendly fishing expedition, "How's the project going? Any interesting developments?" I looked her straight in the eye and said, "You don't need to report on me today or any day after this. I'll be talking to my wife after I'm done today." Her face went white. She started to say something, but I walked away. I spent the rest of the day feeling like I was going to throw up, but also strangely relieved. At least the pretending was over. Word travels fast in an office. By end of day, I could tell people knew something was up. Heather actually stopped by my desk before leaving. "Jordan, I don't know what's going on, but if you need to talk," she paused. "Look, I've been in toxic relationships. If you need someone to just listen, I'm here." I almost broke down right there. This woman, who my wife has been treating like a threat and who I've barely been able to have normal conversations with because of Rachel's jealousy, was offering me support. It made me realize how isolated I'd become. The drive home felt like heading to my own execution. I'd been rehearsing what to say, but everything felt inadequate. How do you confront someone about orchestrating workplace surveillance? How do you explain that their behavior is destroying your career and your sense of self? Rachel was in the kitchen making dinner when I got home, acting completely normal. Asking about my day, chatting about weekend plans. For a moment I almost lost my nerve. This is the woman I fell in love with, the woman who used to build me up instead of tearing me down. But then she asked, "How was your day? Did you talk to Heather much?" And I remembered the screenshots on my phone. "We need to talk," I said. Her whole demeanor changed. She got that alert, calculating look I'd started recognizing lately. "About what?" "About the fact that you've been having my coworkers spy on me." I expected denial. I expected gaslighting. What I didn't expect was for her to double down. "I knew it," she said, crossing her arms. "You're having an affair with her, aren't you?" "What?" "Rachel, no. This is about you violating my privacy and interfering with my work." "Then why are you so angry about people keeping an eye on you? If you weren't doing anything wrong, you wouldn't care." The logic was so twisted it made my head spin. "I care because you're having me followed at my own job. You're making me look like a cheater and a security risk. I'm protecting our marriage from a woman who clearly wants my husband." "Heather has been nothing but professional. You're the one making it weird." "Professional?" Rachel laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "Jordan, she offered to talk with you today." Kate heard her. "Does that sound professional to you?" My blood ran cold. Kate had already reported back about my conversation with Heather, even after I'd confronted her, even after I'd told her to stop. "This is insane," I said. "You're monitoring my conversations in real time now." "I'm doing what any reasonable wife would do when her husband is having an emotional affair." "I'm not having an affair, I'm doing my job." "Then prove it, request a transfer off the project." There it was, the ultimatum I'd been waiting for. Give up the biggest opportunity of my career or she'd continue making my life hell. No, I said, I'm not giving up my job because you can't handle me working with women. Then I guess we know where your priorities are. She went to bed angry. I slept on the couch. Tuesday was worse. The atmosphere at work was toxic. Kate wouldn't make eye contact. Other colleagues were whispering. Heather looked stressed and kept her distance. Around noon, my phone started buzzing with texts from Rachel. Not angry ones, concerned ones. I'm worried about you. You seemed so upset last night. I love you and I want to work this out. Classic manipulation. I'd seen enough Reddit posts by now to recognize love bombing when I saw it. But the worst was when I got home Tuesday night. Rachel had made my favorite dinner and decorated the table with candles. She was wearing the dress from our first date. I've been thinking, she said, maybe I have been a little protective lately. I just love you so much and the thought of losing you scares me. For about 30 seconds I believed her. I wanted to believe her, but then she kept talking. That's why I think we should make some changes. You could ask for a different project assignment, not because I don't trust you, but because it's clearly causing us both stress. And maybe we should be more open with each other. Share our phones, our email passwords, that kind of thing. We already share everything, I said. Well, yes, but maybe we could be more intentional about it. I could come to your office for lunch more often. Get to know your colleagues better. More surveillance, more control, just wrapped in prettier packaging. Rachel, I said carefully, I need you to stop having people watch me at work. I'm not having anyone watch you. I saw the group text. Long pause, then, what group text? The one called Jordan watch with you, Kate, and 2 other women from my office. Another pause. Then she did something that chilled me to the bone. She smiled. Oh, honey, that's not what you think it is. We were just concerned about you. You've seemed so stressed lately, we wanted to make sure you were okay. The gaslighting was so blatant, so shameless that I actually laughed. You had them take photos of me talking to Heather. To document your mood changes. You've been different since you started working with her. You had them screenshot my calendar. To understand your schedule better so I could be supportive. Every explanation made it worse. She had an answer for everything, and every answer made me feel like I was losing my mind. I'm writing this from a hotel room. I told Rachel I needed some space to think. She alternated between crying and yelling, depending on which tactic she thought might work better. The last thing she said to me was, if you leave me for that whore, don't bother coming back. I haven't decided anything yet. Part of me still loves the woman I married, but I'm starting to think that woman never really existed. Edit. For those asking about divorce lawyers, I'm not there yet. But I did call my brother, who I haven't talked to in months because Rachel said he was negative about our relationship. Turns out he's been worried about me for a while. Final update. Posted 3 days ago, this saga has reached its conclusion, and honestly, I'm not sure if I should feel relieved or devastated. When I left off, I was in a hotel trying to figure out my next move. I'd been there 3 days when my brother Dave called. Turns out Rachel had been contacting my family and friends, telling them I was having a midlife crisis and having an affair with a coworker. She's really worried about you, Dave said. Says you've been acting paranoid and aggressive lately. That's when it clicked. Rachel wasn't just controlling me, she was controlling the narrative, making sure that if I ever tried to leave or get help, she'd already painted me as the unstable one. I told Dave everything. The surveillance, the workplace interference, the manipulation tactics. At first he was skeptical. Rachel had always been charming around my family. But when I showed him the screenshots of the group text, his whole attitude changed. Jesus Christ, Jordan, this is stalking. Thursday morning, I went back to work determined to start fixing the damage. I found Heather first and asked if she had a few minutes to talk privately. I owe you an explanation and an apology, I said. My wife has been having coworkers monitor me because she thinks we're having an affair. I know how that sounds, but I have proof. I showed her some of the messages. Her expression went from confused to shocked to angry. Jordan, this could be harassment. She's creating a hostile work environment. I know I'm handling it. Are you safe, like at home? That question hit me hard. Was I safe? I thought about Rachel's mood swings, her ability to flip from sweet to vicious in seconds, her increasing demands for control over every aspect of my life. I don't know, I admitted. Heather helped me document everything for HR, not to get anyone in trouble but to create a record in case things escalated. Friday evening, I went home to have the conversation I'd been dreading. I'd been hoping against hope that Rachel would acknowledge what she'd done, maybe agree to couples counseling something. Instead, she was waiting for me with divorce papers. "Since you clearly care more about your little work wife than your actual wife," she said, sliding the papers across the table. I sat down and read through them. She was asking for alimony, half our assets, and exclusive use of our house. She'd consulted a lawyer while I was staying at the hotel. "You filed these 3 days ago," I said, looking at the dates, "before you even knew if I was coming back." "I knew," she said. "The moment you chose Heather over me, I knew our marriage was over." "I never chose Heather. I chose not to let you sabotage my career." "Same thing." And that's when I realized there was never going to be a middle ground. In Rachel's mind, any boundary I set, any pushback against her control was betrayal. "Okay," I said. "I'll sign them." She looked shocked. I think she expected me to fight, to beg, to promise to be better. Instead, I signed the papers that night. "I've moved my stuff out. I'm staying with Dave while I look for an apartment. The weird thing is how much lighter I feel." I didn't realize how much energy I was spending managing Rachel's emotions, trying to be the perfect husband to someone who would never be satisfied. Work is getting better. Kate left the company. Apparently, she was worried about legal consequences for the surveillance stuff. Heather and I are back to having normal professional conversations. The project is going well. Rachel has been telling people I abandoned our marriage for a coworker. Some mutual friends believe her. It hurts, but I'm learning that people who would believe that story without asking for my side probably weren't great friends anyway. My family has been incredible. My brother said he'd been worried about me for months but didn't know how to bring it up. "You just seemed smaller," he said, "like you were apologizing for existing." That really hit home. I'm not going to pretend this is easy. I'm sad about my marriage ending. I'm angry about the 2 years I lost. I'm worried about what Rachel might do next. She's not someone who handles rejection well. But I'm also hopeful for the first time in a long time. I can have conversations without analyzing every word for potential offense. I can make plans without asking permission. I can succeed at work without it being seen as a threat to my relationship. I'm going to be okay. Better than okay, actually. For the first time in years, I'm going to be free. Thanks, Reddit, you probably saved my life.